Welcome to the McHenry County Historical Society and Museum located in Union, Illinois. Since the 1960s, the Society's mission is to showcase and teach about the rich history of McHenry County. The Society offers adult workshops, student programs, and activities. Today, we will tour the Gannon Kitchen Garden, which is next to the Gannon Cabin. But first, let's have a quick look at the Gannon Cabin. Luke Gannon and his wife Margaret came from Sligo, Ireland in the early 1800s. They came to the United States by boat. Their trip took 6 long weeks. After they settled in McHenry County, Luke and Margaret began to build this cabin. It was finally finished in 1843. They had 8 children. Imagine 10 individuals in this cabin. Luke passed away in 1869 at 48 years old, and Margaret passed away in 1884. The cabin was donated to the McHenry County Historical Society by Luke and Margaret's grandson, Ed, in 1964. Now let's move outside. This is a typical kitchen garden. They grew native herbs, vegetables, and ornamental flowers. The purpose of this type of garden was to feed the family year-round with plants useful not only for daily meals, but also for medicinal purposes, important in treating wounds, digestive issues, and other ailments. Before we look at the herbs, however, we need to look at the hollyhock plant. Today we use it to decorate our gardens, but back then it had another rather undignified purpose. It was often referred to as the privy plant. Why? Well, before the introduction of indoor plumbing, which the Gannon cabin did not have, outhouses were an unpleasant necessity of daily life. So a visitor who needed to use the outhouse would discreetly ask where the hollyhocks were instead of asking for directions to the outhouse. Let's see what Kathy is holding. It is called a foraging basket, which was used to collect herbs, flowers, mushrooms, berries, and nuts in the nearby woods. An herb is a plant used for medicinal purposes, in addition to flavoring foods, for potpourri, or even spiritual uses. Oregano is used for medicinal purposes as a spice and food preservative and as a tea. This is a perennial. It was recorded in the Middle Ages as a stress reliever, in addition to having other medicinal and culinary qualities. Thyme is a perennial evergreen herb with dietary, medicinal, and ornamental uses. The flowers are attractive to bees. Sage is a perennial evergreen subshrub. It is high in antioxidants and nutrients, especially vitamin K. It is used fresh, dried, or as a tea. This is an annual plant that reseeds easily. The bright yellow petals were used in cooking and as a yellow coloring in cheeses and butters. Today, we commonly grow our vegetables in rows. In the mid-1800s, the practice was to grow in small areas surrounded by pathways of straw or sawdust. Not until the later part of the 1800s did planting vegetables in rows become the norm. This vegetable was eaten either fresh or preserved by pickling or drying. One method of preservation was to turn it upside down, leaving it in its hole during the long winter months. Pole beans were also either eaten fresh or preserved by pickling or drying. They were grown on supports such as these to keep them off the ground. This is a rhubarb. and is a perennial vegetable, generally used as a fruit in desserts, such as in pies. It was also made into jams. This plant has been used for medicinal purposes for thousands of years. Even if an immigrant family grew crops for income, it was the kitchen garden that fed them throughout the year. As a result, they grew many root vegetables, which could be preserved in a root cellar. Beets were one of those root vegetables. It was eaten fresh or preserved by salting or pickling. The Gannons were Irish immigrants, and potatoes were particularly familiar and important to them. Adult men often ate many pounds of potatoes daily. Interesting, at the time, the potato was considered more as a fodder for our farm animals than as food for human consumption. This is a Danvers carrot, a heritage root from approximately 1871. What is a cactus doing here? It is native to Illinois and surprisingly tolerates the Midwest climate of high humidity and cold winters. This apple tree was moved here from its original cabin location. We call this the ornamental area because many of these flowering plants were grown for their beauty, which, when picked, would be brought into the cabin to decorate the interior. However, do not let their beauty fool you. Most of these flowering plants had medicinal and culinary uses as well. This is an aster and is a native perennial that blooms from late summer to fall and makes a beautiful cut flower arrangement. Surprisingly, this purple coneflower is considered an herb. It has beautiful pink flowers that bloom in the late summer. It attracts butterflies and hummingbirds, and its flowers are used to make a popular tea. This is St. John's wort and is a perennial woody shrub with fragrant yellow flowers that bloom mid to late summer. It was brought to the New World from its native Europe and was highly valued for its medicinal qualities for treating ailments such as mild depression and anxiety. Black-eyed Susan is a typical native flowering plant which blooms in summer to early fall. It attracts hummingbirds, bees, and other insects which pollinate the plant. The common name for this plant is bee balm, in reference to its use as a salve to soothe bee stings. It can also be used to repel mosquitoes. This kitchen garden is taken care of by a local group of master gardeners who are part of the University of Illinois Extension. We are trained by the University of Illinois staff and other horticultural professionals to provide unbiased, research-based information to help homeowners with their yard and garden questions. Thank you for joining us today. Please come back soon to enjoy more educational and historical programs.